Hey, it's Mother Funny Time with Andy and Angie.
2 cousins, 8 kids, 1 grandkid, 2 states.
And a whole lot of fun. Woo!
Welcome back, Mother Funny Tribe with Andy and Angie. Today, it's Angie. I'm the one doing the intro, which I know is a little different because Andy always does it. But we have a special guest with Jandy. Today, Jandy is with us. As you guys know, she was here last podcast and we were talking about multitasking. Jandy has also been on a podcast in the past when we talked about adoption, and that podcast was so incredible. So if you haven't listened to it, make sure you check it out. Thank you, Jandy, for being with us today.
And yes, and just to clarify, my name isn't really Jandy. It's Andrea and I are both Andrea, and she's Andrea Langham, and I'm Andrea Jones. So I always call the other Andy Landria when people are getting confused about which Andrea we're talking about. She calls me Jandria. So that's where Jandy came up with. I'm Jandy today.
Oh, you're Jandy from here on out. Like that's your name through and through. Like you're stuck with Jandy. It's
I've been labeled.
Yes.
Do I get a Jandy t-shirt?
Yes, you should. We need to make you a Jandy.
Jandy Joy.
JJ. That's what that is. That is so cute. Now, Jandy is the mom of 2 girls who are truly amazing. One's a teenager, one's in elementary school, and she also works with the ministry. Why don't you tell us the ministry that you work for before we start talking about multitasking? Because Jandy is a mom, and she's a mom who also works inside the home.
Yes, we put on many hats. So I work for a New Breed. I'm a co-founder of New Breed. We're church planters, and now we've church planted for a lot of years. And now we just, because we're old farts now, we've decided, we just want to help other people who are the next generation to church plant. And so we run church planting courses online and train in person and online through the wonders of Zoom. So COVID actually helped us get our stuff together and do a lot more courses online and curriculum. So I'll do some of that writing and then I'm a church planter.
And we can post that information like on our social media and under this podcast too. If you guys want to check out New Breed, it is a great ministry. And then our husbands both work for Through the Word also.
Yeah.
So our families are very connected. And obviously I'm cousins with Andy, but Andy and Jandy are super close friends. And then through their friendship, like I became friends with Jandy. So it's very interconnected, very fun. We all did go to Disney World together a few years ago, which was quite the memorable trip to say the least. But it was super fun.
With a few ER trips in between and there.
I mean, if you have kids, it's bound to happen. That's kind of what the world is like when you have multiple kids of all different ages, 100%. So you guys, today we're talking about multitasking because we're moms and we multitask nonstop all the time. I know that sometimes we have to prioritize as moms. Like I have to get this task done. Maybe I'll wait on this other task, or we're just trying to get 2 things done at once. I mean, how many times do you see moms? I know I was one of them where you're like wearing a baby in the ergo. So that way you're baby wearing while you're at the park watching your toddler go down the slide. Or, I mean, let's be honest, moms are literally wearing their baby while they are on the play structure, making sure their toddler is safe.
I remember wearing my baby while doing worship at church. I was wearing Liberty and doing worship at church, our little church plant. And I'm not a worship leader, people, but there was no one else to do it. So that's what you do as a church planter. You just step in and fill in the gaps. So Liberty was there and her little legs, everybody kept laughing. Her little legs were kicking the whole time because she was up on stage and, while I was doing worship and, that's just what you do. And then I finished that and go off and lead a small group. And that's just what you do, right? You get on with it. And the ergos are the best, though. I'm glad we had those. I don't know what the next generation's going to do.
Ergo was my absolute favorite. And especially like when we had the twins, I had my Ergo set to my body and I didn't share it or change it. I was like, this is mine. We had another Ergo in case anyone else wanted to wear a twin. And then Ryan preferred the baby Bjorn. So like he had his baby Bjorn, I had my Ergo, and then we had this other Ergo, which a friend had given us. And I never changed it because it could be a lot with the straps and changing and like your height and as the baby's growing. And I was like, no, no one's allowed to touch my ergo baby because that's what my baby's always lived in. And it was so funny because I was in a mom's group and Riley was like 2.5, 3 years old. So I would go out to park play dates and I'd ergo Brooklyn. And it was really fun because she would sleep while Riley would play. And then I would get to see other moms who are having that social time, hanging out with other moms, watching their kids play, and your kids are being socialized. It was like a win-win. I totally recommend like mom play dates and mom groups. And then fast forward a few years later, I had the twins. And so I had a twin in the ergo. And one of the mom friends from that previous like play group, she came over to see the twins and to say hi. And I opened the door and I'm wearing a twin in the ergo. And she just stopped and she looked at me. She goes, of course you're wearing a baby in an ergo. Like, she'd already seen me do that with Brooklyn. So of
Yeah.
course, like 3.5 years later, I'm still wearing a baby.
You're like, this is my outfit. Didn't you know that? This is
Exactly.
what I wear. I had a few different ones, and they were my outfit. And my friends used to say, are you going to have her in that when she's like 16-year-old and you're going to like head off to school with her? And I'm like, if I have to, I will, because I adopted. So I was like, I'm going to have every second with this child attached to my body from the second she takes her first breath to whenever. So she was always in that ergo. And I had three different ones. I had one that was kind of a wrap one. It was thin. It was like t-shirt. And it had it did have two little rings that you could adjust it with. And that was my favorite. The only problem with that one is sometimes like half of her cheek would slide out of the side of it while I was like doing things with her. I'm like, wait, my baby, I'm losing it. And so we had a few different ones, but I loved caring. That was probably one of my favorite times of mom multitasking is wearing the baby and doing things. I remember Eden was in it a lot longer because she was born at 1 pound. So I was carrying her a lot longer. But I would be doing crafts with Liberty outside, throwing things for the dog and holding Eden so she could sleep, because she had to sleep sitting up a lot because she couldn't lay down and she would just had problems with her lungs. And so I would have her sleeping on me while I'm throwing the ball for the dog and doing, crafts with Liberty. And it was just one of those things that you do. Thank God for ergos.
That is part of it is that's mom life and that is what moms do. And sometimes we need to stop and say like, "Hey, this is amazing." Or like, "I'm
Yeah.
doing incredible today." Like shout out to all the moms wearing their babies, throwing the ball for their dog, helping a toddler color. Like that's a lot of things going on at once. And I don't think moms celebrate that as much as they should. Like though
Yeah.
that is so many activities all at one time. While because we're moms, we have to stay calm and we have to be relaxed and you can't be too stressed out, right? And you have to take
No.
your time and have those like magic moments with your child or spend time talking with your teenage daughter. But it's also good to acknowledge what you're doing as a mom because so many moms say, like, I didn't do anything all day, or like moms who work outside the home and then they become moms who work in the home or stay at home
Yeah.
with their kids. Andy and I, as you know, don't like the term stay at home mom. We just don't like that term. So we try not to say it.
Because they never stay at home.
Exactly. Exactly. I really should be like Uber driving mom. That's where I am the
Yeah.
most. Like in my car mom is what I am. Well, all right, let's face it. I'm in my minivan mom. I'm a minivan mom. So I think though part of it is like when moms are working or when women are working outside the home and then they choose to stay home with their children, they're so used to when they're working outside the home, like checklists and getting thing in the like in quotes, like getting things done. They get recognition for what they've had
Yeah.
done. They get a lot of praise from their coworkers. Or, oh, hey, we worked on this project. Now we've succeeded. Let's go out and celebrate.
You get
Well, when
work
you're
parties. Get work parties.
yes, right. You get work parties. You get to dress up a little bit sometimes. Or maybe you're just wearing work clothes, but that's more than, the typical leggings and t-shirts that is the mom
Yeah.
dress code right now.
Messy
But
bun.
all the time. All the time. And so to acknowledge though, like I maybe don't have a to-do list that says wear a baby in a ergo baby, throw the ball with the dog, helping my child color or work on a craft. We're not writing that down on our to-do list or on the tasks, but that's still an accomplishment.
Yeah. It doesn't even make it onto the list. We have then the other things that are on the list. Like I had to I remember Liberty, one of the times we were in Florida, Liberty was I think she must have been about 8 and Eden was 4, but Eden was just nonstop sick. And we were team teaching a major session at a huge convention. And I just remember it was coming out of both ends of the Eden. And Peyton would be up doing his part, and then it would be my turn to go up and do it. And then we'd swap the throwing up, tiring baby. He would take her out and I'd get up and I would have like throw up in my hair and I'm teaching. It's like nobody needs to know this, but you
Right.
you get it done. And I remember, later, one of the moms was like, it was so good to see a mom actually, still doing things, but then still being a mom. And because I think we feel guilty, we multitask guilt, don't we? We can totally multitask guilt, feel guilty that we're not doing our work good enough, or guilty we're not doing our parenting good enough, or cleaning the house good enough, or cooking the way our friends cook, or the way people pack their kids lunch nowadays. Like I'm guilting myself with that, and I think we can multitask guilt and grace to moms, because I think you just got to do what works for you. And then if that means cutting out a few things so you don't multitask as many things, then do that. Like, I don't make my kids lunch anymore. Do I dare say that? I don't do it. I never make their lunch. If they don't buy it, because we have a really good all natural gluten-free thing that goes to our school. So Eden celiac, and I'm like, you know what? That's cheaper than me buying all of her stuff. I'm gonna do that for her. And then Liberty's like, well, wait, if Eden gets to have hot lunch, how come I don't get hot lunch at school? So that was one thing I cut out when things were getting so busy. So I didn't have to multitask that on top of everything else in the morning. So our mornings are a little bit more mellow. Now it's just snack and waters. We still don't completely get that right.
That's a really good point, is trying to figure out like what you're capable of
Yeah.
or what works within your family unit or for that specific time in your parenting life or in your mom journey. Because there are times when maybe you can, I don't want to use the word like the term like handle more, because we're all handling something.
Yeah.
But there are times when maybe you are making your kids lunch. And like you're saying, there's other times when, hey, it's actually cheaper if Eden buys lunch, and it frees up your morning a little bit. And that's part of being a mom, is kind of realizing like what's realistic within this season I'm in right now. What can I accomplish? What can't I? I mean, sure, we always want to have goals. We always want to be striving and pushing forward, but also we have to be realists. Like,
Yeah.
hey, super mom who makes these incredible lunches for your child. Awesome. Good for you. I'm glad you also take pictures and post it on Pinterest. Like, that's awesome. For the rest of us,
Yes.
this is
Well, that
my
was a big
reality.
deal. That was a big deal when Liberty was in kindergarten, all the Pinterest lunches, and I loved them. I actually got really excited and I would do that for her lunches. And the teachers would be like, I want Liberty's lunch. But with Eden, I didn't do it in the same way. Child number 2. And you just go through different seasons, right? And you multitask different things. And you got to be okay with whatever you're supposed to be multitasking in that moment, because I don't, I don't make those beautiful, cute lunches anymore with the little smiley faces on them and with the grapes, whatever else Pinterest is showing us to do.
And it's all working out. And that's in the last podcast, like you kind of mentioned, like having multitasking health. And it's
Yeah.
never like a phrase I've heard before, but I think there's something to that, because we always talk about like mental health and making sure, that we're not too overwhelmed or too stressed out or too
Yeah.
anxious or whatever it is. Because in the mom world, sometimes it feels like we're spinning because we're going here, there, and everywhere, and
Yeah.
also trying to like meet our children's needs, but also to realize like, is this healthy for me as a mom to be doing all of this? And is it healthy then for my children? Because how am
Yeah.
I responding in the middle of this crazy busyness?
Yeah. Cause that's, I mean, multitasking health is a Mother Funny original, Angie. So you guys get to claim that.
Yes, thank you. Well, okay, the last podcast you were on, you said, life is life. And
Oh.
Andy and I were like, "Oh my gosh." And we have said that so many times. We're like, "'Cause life is life."
Life is life. It is. Well, I don't know if everybody's like me, but I guilt myself a lot. I can really run off of guilt and do things out of guilt. and give myself more, tasks to do, because like the lunch making thing, like, am I doing this because this is really the healthiest thing for everybody financially and, emotionally and physically? Is this the healthiest thing? Or am I just doing this because I feel I should? And I shouldn't, we shouldn't should on ourselves, is what my friend always says to me. She always says, stop shooting on yourself. And I'm like, okay, I won't. And I
We
love that
shouldn't
saying.
should on ourselves.
Stop shit on yourself.
Oh my gosh. Be careful how you say that, everybody.
But we do that.
Awesome.
And I think so that's where multitasking health comes for me, is I'm thinking, there's a lot of these things that I'm doing that I love to do. I actually really love dropping my kids off school. I'm going to be sad when my oldest starts driving. And so that is one thing I'll take out the time to do, because I get that time to talk to them in the car and spend with them. And, even if they're being moody that morning, I still get that moment. And I always pray with them at the end before I drop them off. And I just feel like they're going to have that forever. But I don't have to make the lunch right now. Like, that's okay. Like, and I think there's just different things we can cut out of our multitasking. The things, like, what is it? What's her name again? The one who's like, what if it doesn't bring you joy, check it out. Decluttering.
Oh, conduit or
Yeah, I don't want to say her
con
name wrong.
condit or something.
Yes.
Yes.
Yes, but
Yes.
decluttering our life, we declutter our clutter, but sometimes we got to declutter our multitasking, right? And just to give ourselves that health. And we know which things we can give up. And honestly, for me, it was my phone a little bit. I can give myself some boundaries on that. I've said, okay, I'm not going to answer emails before 7 a.m. because I'll get up early and deal with all my emails and everything before I head out. And then I don't get that early morning time to myself anymore. That's usually my early morning time. So that's just one I did for my multitasking health.
Okay. Multitasking health. This is amazing. One, don't should on your should. Wait, how did you say it?
Don't
should
shit on
yourself.
yourself. Or shit on anybody else either. We should never shit on people. I'm shitting. I'm shitting on us right now. We should never should.
No, that's amazing. Be realistic with what you
Yeah.
can and cannot accomplish, and don't feel guilt if you can't get it all done or if you can't accomplish what other people can do.
Yes. And if it
Like you're
doesn't bring you
saying,
joy, throw it out. As long as it's not
throw
your
it
kid.
out.
Not your kid, not the husband. Just
Yes, I love it. Okay, so this is super interesting, and I found it so fascinating. Before, there's always been this idea of like women or moms, they can multitask more than men or more than dads can. It's like this like
yeah.
societal norm, like a stereotype of like, oh, well, women just multitask better than dads, or women can multitask more than men can. It's kind of like what everybody says. Okay, Jandy, there is new research coming out.
Hmm.
It's wrong.
I'm sure.
Men and women are capable of multitasking at the same level, the same amount. It's equal.
Yeah.
But because it's this idea, which it was a man who came up with this. Oh,
Yeah. She can
women.
do it all. Well, maybe we just want more too, though. I think we do want more. We do want, like, I don't know how many dads, and this may be sexist, but I don't know how many dads get guilt if they go to work and don't stay and do things. And maybe it's a societal thing. I don't know. But I think moms, we want it all. We kind of do. My husband calls me the girl who wants everything, because I do. I want to be able to do work outside the home, plus be there for my kids 24/7, be the primary one to take them to the appointments because I don't want to miss out on things. But I don't know. Yeah. I would think it was a survival thing. We had to survive, so we did it. That's it.
I could totally see that. And you're right, because we're so aware right now of time. And you
Yeah.
see it even from like the beginning of the school year back in August or September, whenever your school district started. We started at the beginning of August, and now it's May. May is one of the busiest months for moms. Everybody's busy in May. They call it Maycember, which is actually
Yeah.
perfect to like be doing this podcast in May. It's about
Yeah.
multitasking because it's May. It's so busy. But
Yeah.
to also realize, like, well, we want to be there though at those award ceremonies, at field day, at splash day, at the school assemblies. And this is something I've learned is because I have kids in elementary school, one's in intermediate school, and one's in middle school. Once they go to intermediate school and then middle school, like parents, they don't go to the school assemblies. We're not invited.
No,
We're not
we don't
allowed
get
to
to be a part
go.
of it. I know. We
I
can, but your kid will die.
Well, I even tried, like, I even asked because, like, Riley was in when this is middle school, she's in the school assembly, she danced and she cheered. So, mo every other 8th grade girl who was part of, like, either they were the dancing or they were cheering. Like, if they were in the dance class, they danced, if they were in cheering, they cheered. But Riley was in both. She was the only 8th grade girl who was in I guess I should say, she
Wow.
was the only 8th grader who did both, dance and cheer, because she's taking dance and cheer as her electives. And I was like, "Come on. My daughter is in both. Like, can't I come to the school assembly? I've seen her practice at home. She told me all about it. I've seen it on the phone when she like shows me the dance or
Yeah.
the cheer. And they still said no. I was like, can I sneak in?
They didn't let you? I would have just snuck
No.
in.
Oh, our schools are on lockdown. We are not
Ah,
allowed. You cannot. They're so strict. You have to show your ID and say who you are and why you are there when you're outside before they even allow you in. Like before
wow.
they buzz you in, you have to show them like literally your ID. So you always have to have like your driver's license with you. And so I think part of it now that I'm having olders is I'm realizing, oh, how many of those activities happen just in the elementary ages
Yeah.
and the elementary school ages, and your kids want you there in elementary school. I mean, Riley still wants me
Yes.
at things, which I'm thankful for, but I know that's probably gonna be short-lived here pretty soon.
Yeah, I think my oldest does too. I think Liberty does too. Like she'll say, "You don't have to come to my game," but she knows I'm going to. And I think if I didn't come to the games, her lacrosse games, I think she would be sad. I think, in time, but they're like, "No, you don't have to." They don't want to make you feel bad for, having to miss or whatever, but you know, yeah, that I want to do it all. I I think that's the big thing with multitasking is I kind of want to do it all. I just can't do it all.
So we want as moms, we wanna do it all. We're finding grace for ourselves when we can't do it all or when we're setting, like, the realistic expectations of, "Hey, this is the day. This is where I can be. This is what I can get done. This is what I can't get
Yeah.
done. I can't do this today. I can't be there," and to be like, "Okay, I have to learn to be okay with that."
This is what I can let go of. That's a big thing is letting go of things and it not being done the way I want it, the way I want it done. It's like, no, that's okay. You can fold the clothes while they're still inside out. That's cool. That's fine. I don't care. It doesn't bother me. I don't care. So, let go, Andrea, Jandria, whatever my name is,
Jandy.
Jandy.
Okay, Elsa's song had so many meanings.
Let it go. Let it go.
See, this is amazing. And we should tell the Mother Funny Tribe how we came up with this topic, you guys, is I called Jandy and I was like, hey, Andy's not going to be in a few podcasts. Like, what do you think? Because Jandy's podcasted with us before. I knew she had the whole setup and everything. And literally, as we're talking, we're working on this, figuring it out. Like, she's playing lacrosse with her daughter. I'm outside watching my kids like run around the cul-de-sac and like have their scooters and their basketballs. I mean, you're having like work meetings or meetings with a friend, catching up on life while life is happening.
Wow, that's happening. That's it. They got to get their lacrosse throws in, right? And I'm supposed to be the one to catch it. I'm learning lacrosse now too.
I cannot figure out the lacrosse rules. As many games as I've been to, it is so tricky. And then at different ages, you're
Yeah.
allowed to do something. And then
Yep.
at a different age bracket, it switches. And now you can't do this, but you can do this. And it just
Well,
kind of
you
keeps.
got halfway there. If you figured that part out, you're halfway there. You're almost there. Like I'm now this year, and she's been doing it since like she's in ninth grade. She's been doing it since fourth grade. And so this year I'm like, oh, that's why the ref called that. Oh, and so now I can yell at the refs for the right things rather than wrong things. Cause I'll be like, what? Why do that? And everybody's like, no, actually that was the right call. I'm like, ah, blah, blah, blah. Never mind. You're good.
It's okay. Brooklyn got carded one day. This was like the first game this year. And I'm looking at the moms. I'm like, do you know what she did? And all of us, because we don't understand lacrosse, we have no
Yeah.
idea. Brooklyn, I mean, she didn't have to leave the game, but she did have to sit out for 2 minutes and her team had to play like with one less player. And her coach was totally cool about it. Like, I still to this day don't know what happened or why she got carded, but it was a legit,
Yeah.
like, there goes the card. Like, she did
Yeah.
something. I'm like, okay.
You're like, yeah, my daughter got carded. Woo!
I know. It's true. But that is life. And as you say, life is life.
Life
and
is life.
letting go. Don't should on your should or don't should on
Don't
yourself.
shit on yourself.
It's so funny. Jandy, thank you so much for being with us today and for podcasting with us. I'm so glad you're part of the Mother Funny tribe and you were here.
Yay. I love the
talk
Mother
about
Funny
this.
tribe. I'm an avid listener. You guys make me laugh when I'm in the car driving everywhere, and you're funny, especially when Andy is like chomping into an apple while you guys are talking. And your responses to your cousin is just this cracks me up. But you guys are great. Well, thanks for having me.
And Mother Funny Tribe, like us, share us, tell a friend. You can check us out on YouTube. I know Jandy will be here another time because we love having her here. Thank you so much.
Goodbye.
Bye.
All right, that's all we have time for today. We got to wrap it up, unfortunately. But just remember, you might think you're doing just okay, but we think you're doing really great.
Thanks for hanging out with us today. We hope you have a great Mother Funny day. Please like and share our podcast.
But please don't tell our moms.